The first thing people notice on Komodo Island isn't the heat, it's the silence. Not normal silence either, not peaceful silence. The kind that presses against your chest. The kind that makes your instincts whisper something ancient into your ear. Don't stay here too long. The hills are dry and cracked beneath the Indonesian sun. Dead grass bends in the wind like brittle fingers. Salt hangs in the air from the nearby sea, mixing with the smell of dust, rotting leaves, and something else. Animal. Somewhere in the distance, a deer screams once, sharp, sudden, cut short, and then everything goes quiet again. That's usually when people realize they are no longer alone. You won't see the dragon immediately. That's the terrifying part. A full-grown Komodo dragon can reach over 10 feet long and weigh more than a motorcycle engine. Yet somehow it disappears into the landscape like a ghost. Its scales carry the color of volcanic earth. Its body stays low. Its tongue flicks through the air, tasting invisible trails left behind by living creatures. And when that tongue moves, it's already hunting. People love calling them living dinosaurs. Sounds dramatic, right? But stand 20 feet away from one in the wild and suddenly the phrase doesn't feel poetic anymore. It feels literal. Like evolution forgot to finish something here. Like these islands were abandoned halfway through creation. Because Komodo dragons don't behave like ordinary reptiles. They move with patience. Calculation. They don't waste energy, they wait for weakness. And Indonesia knows this better than anyone. For generations, villagers near Komodo, Rinca and Flores have lived with stories whispered after dark. Stories of dragons stalking fishermen. Dragons digging up graves. Dragons appearing silently near homes at sunset. Children in these villages grow up learning one brutal truth before almost anything else. If you see a Komodo dragon watching you, do not turn your back. What makes these creatures so feared isn't just their size, it's the way they kill. A tiger explodes with speed, a crocodile drags prey underwater, but the Komodo dragon uses something slower, crueler. It bites once, then waits for death to arrive naturally. For years scientists believed the dragon's mouth was deadly because of bacteria. Rotting meat trapped between serrated teeth created a septic nightmare. Victims would escape the initial attack only to collapse later from infection. But then researchers discovered something even worse. Venom, not movie monster venom, real venom. Hidden glands inside the dragon's jaw release toxic proteins that prevent blood clotting and send prey into catastrophic shock. One bite, that's all it takes. Blood pressure crashes. Wounds continue pouring blood. Muscles weaken. Panic sets in and the dragon simply follows. Imagine that for a second. Imagine walking through a burning hot forest. Something behind you already decided you're dead. And all it has to do now is wait. Here's the part nobody tells tourists. Komodo dragons are smart, uncomfortably smart. Researchers observe them recognizing routines and even human feeding schedules. They remember locations, they learn patterns. Rangers in Indonesia sometimes carry forked sticks, not because dragons attack constantly, but because when they do attack, it happens fast enough to end a life before help arrives. In 2009, a fisherman named Muhammad Anwar climbed into a tree on Komodo Island after being chased by 2 dragons. That alone sounds terrifying enough, but it became worse. The dragons waited beneath him for hours. Hours. Think about the mentality of that predator. No panic, no frustration, just patience, like death sitting calmly under a tree. Eventually, rescuers arrived before the dragons could reach him. But stories like this spread across Indonesia for a reason. Because they confirm something primal people already feel when they look at these creatures. The dragon understands fear. And then there's the question that haunts visitors after they leave the islands. What if the dragons aren't afraid of us anymore? See, most predators avoid humans whenever possible. Bears retreat. Wolves disappear into forests. But Komodo dragons evolved on isolated islands with little competition. For centuries, they ruled these landscapes uncontested. Deer, wild pigs, even water buffalo became prey. Humans arrived later. To a dragon, a human is just another warm body moving through its territory. That reality became horrifyingly clear in 2007. An 8-year-old boy named Mansour was playing near bushes on Komodo Island when a dragon attacked him. Witnesses described chaos, screaming, villagers rushing forward with sticks and stones. The dragon had torn into the child before finally retreating. The boy didn't survive. And suddenly that headline spread across the world. But on those islands, people weren't shocked. Saddened, yes. Horrified, absolutely. But surprised? No, because they know what lives there. The fear surrounding Komodo dragons isn't superstition, it's experience carved into memory. Even their hunting style feels unnatural. A dragon can smell blood from nearly 6 miles away. 6 miles. It uses its forked tongue like a biological radar system, collecting microscopic scent particles from the wind. Injured prey rarely escapes detection. and once the dragon closes in, its body becomes a machine built entirely for destruction. Powerful limbs, serrated teeth curved backward like hooks, thick muscular tail capable of knocking animals sideways, claws designed to grip flesh and earth simultaneously. But the scariest thing? The silence. No roar, no warning growl. Sometimes victims never hear the dragon approach at all. There's a moment many rangers describe after surviving close encounters. They say the dragon locks onto you with a stare that feels disturbingly deliberate, not animal instinct, calculation. And maybe that's why ancient Indonesian folklore transformed them into something almost supernatural. Some island legends claim dragons and humans were once born from the same mother. Twins separated into different worlds. One became human, the other remained wild, dangerous, sacred. That belief still echoes through local communities today. Some villagers treat dragons with a mixture of fear and respect bordering on spiritual reverence. Because on these islands, the line between myth and biology gets blurry fast, especially at night. You want to know what truly terrifies people here? Not attacks, not venom, not even the size, it's the waiting. Komodo dragons are endurance hunters. If prey escapes wounded, the dragon follows slowly, conserving energy while the victim weakens over hours or days. Scientists documented dragons tracking dying animals across massive distances till collapse became inevitable. That means the hunt doesn't end after the bite. The bite is only the beginning. Picture yourself hiking through the Indonesian wilderness. You hear branches crack behind you once, then nothings. 10 minutes pass, another sound. You turn, empty trail. Your heartbeat speeds up. Sweat stings your eyes, and somewhere hidden beyond the grass, a reptile older than civilization is matching your pace step for step. That's not just fear, that's psychological horror. One ranger recalled seeing a dragon pretend to retreat after being confronted, only to circle back silently from another direction minutes later. Think about that intelligence. Predators aren't supposed to strategize like that, yet Komodo dragons repeatedly display behaviors that feel disturbingly tactical. Young dragons even climb trees to avoid being eaten by larger adults. Yes, Komodo dragons cannibalize each other. The babies spend years living above ground because the forest floor itself is too dangerous. Imagine being born into a world where your own species wants to eat you. That brutality shaped every part of the dragon's evolution. Survival here belongs only to the patient and violent, and nowhere is that clearer than during feeding. When a carcass appears, dragons emerge from everywhere. Massive males slam into each other with explosive force. Their bodies rear upward, claws rip through dust, tongues lash through the air. And then comes the sound, wet tearing mixed with deep guttural hissing. A deer can disappear in minutes. Bones, hooves, flesh, almost nothing remains. Tourists who witness feeding sessions often describe the same reaction afterward. Not excitement, silence. Because something ancient inside the human brain recognizes what it's seeing. An apex predator untouched by empathy. A creature that evolved without mercy because mercy had no survival value on these islands. And the dragons aren't trapped in the past either. Climate change and human expansion are slowly shrinking their territory, forcing more encounters between humans and dragons. Villages near protected areas report increasing sightings. Rangers constantly monitor dragon movement patterns to prevent attacks. But nature doesn't care about boundaries painted on maps. A hungry dragon follows instinct. Now imagine this. You're alone near the shoreline at dusk. The tide is pulling back. Crabs scatter over wet black sand. You hear breathing behind you, low and heavy. You turn slowly, and there it is. 10 feet of muscle and armor, standing motionless 20 yards away. Its tongue flicks once. The dragon isn't charging, it's deciding. That hesitation alone would break most people psychologically. Because you realize something horrifying in that moment. You are being evaluated. In 2017, a Singaporean tourist visiting Komodo National Park wandered too close during a trek. Rangers shouted warnings, but the dragon lunged before distance could be created. The attack injured the tourist's leg badly enough to require emergency evacuation. Even trained guides sometimes fail to predict these animals completely. That unpredictability is fuel for fear. A lion acts like a lion, a shark behaves like a shark, but Komodo dragons feel alien. Their movements switch between sluggish and explosive without warning. 1 second they look half asleep beneath the sun. The next they're crossing ground with terrifying speed. And yes, they can run faster than most people expect. Up to around 12 miles per hour in short bursts. Not enough to win a marathon. More than enough to catch someone panicking. The deeper researchers study these reptiles, the stranger they become. Female Komodo dragons can reproduce without males through a process called parthenogenesis. Essentially, under certain conditions they can create offspring alone. Think about how eerie that is. An isolated predator capable of continuing its bloodline without needing a mate. Evolution engineered these creatures for survival at almost any and maybe that's the true reason they frighten people so deeply. Komodo dragons don't feel temporary, they feel eternal. Like they survived every extinction event simply by refusing to die. There's another detail many people miss. The islands themselves help create the fear. Komodo, Rinca, and Flores are beautiful during daylight, but beauty changes fast in isolation. Once dark spreads across those hills, the landscape transforms into something primitive. Insects scream from the trees, wind rattles dry branches, visibility collapses into shadows, and somewhere out there dragons are still moving. The locals know not to wander alone after sunset, because fear here isn't fictional entertainment. It's environmental awareness passed down through generations. Children are taught where dragons hide. Fishermen learn which beaches attract them. Rangers memorize warning signs in the dirt. Tail drags, claw marks, tracks near water sources. Life adapts around the predator, not the other way around. But maybe the most chilling thing about Komodo dragons is how calmly they exist beside human fear. They don't hate humans, they don't seek revenge. They simply operate according to millions of years of perfected instinct. That indifference makes them scarier than monsters. A monster can be reasoned with in stories. A dragon cannot. Because the dragon isn't evil, it's efficient, and nature's most efficient killers rarely need emotion at all. You know what survivors remember most after close encounters? The eyes. Not glowing fantasy eyes, real eyes, dark, focused ancient, eyes that don't blink often enough. Eyes that seem to measure movement the same way a storm measures coastline. One wildlife photographer described a dragon watching him for nearly 20 minutes without moving more than a few inches. No aggression, no retreat, just observation. Eventually the photographer backed away slowly and left. Years later, he still said it was the most uncomfortable silence he had ever experienced in nature. Because deep down, humans understand something instinctively when facing apex predators. You are never fully in control. And maybe that's why the fear surrounding these creatures will never disappear. Not while the islands remain wild. Not while dragons still crawl through the heat like relics from a forgotten earth. People travel across the world hoping to see them. Some call it adventure, others call it fascination. But the moment a Komodo dragon turns toward you, all curiosity burns its way and something older takes over. Survival. Because no matter how modern humanity becomes, certain creatures still remind us what we used to be: prey. And here's the final truth nobody forgets after leaving Indonesia's Dragon Islands. The fear follows you home. Not because you think a dragon is hiding outside your door, but because you realize something terrifying still exists in this world untouched by civilization. A predator that doesn't need myths to become legendary. A creature capable of reducing human confidence into pure instinct within seconds. Long after tourists leave those islands, they remember the silence, the dry wind, the feeling of being watched from somewhere invisible. And sometimes, late at night, they remember the way the jungle sounded right before everything went quiet. That silence means only one thing on Komodo Island. Something ancient is near. And it's already decided whether you belong there.